Picture yourself standing on the edge of a storm, voices clashing like thunder, each word a jagged bolt of lightning aimed to wound. Your instinct screams to fight back, to wield your own verbal arsenal. But what if the real victory lies in stepping away from the chaos altogether? We've all been there, trapped in a spiral of heated words, hearts pounding as we scramble to defend our ground. It feels like survival, like the only way to hold on to who we are. Yet something gnaws at us. Why does every shouted syllable leave us more exhausted than empowered? Friedrich Nietzsche saw through this illusion, whispering a truth that cuts deeper than any argument ever could. He argued that the moment you let yourself be dragged into the fray, you've already handed over your strength to someone else. Think about it when you argue. You're not just battling ideas, you're wrestling with shadows of your own making. Ego, insecurity, the desperate need to be seen as right. These are the hidden puppeteers pulling your strings. And Nietzsche knew it. He called true power the will to power, but don't mistake it for brute force or loud dominance. It's the quiet mastery of self, the ability to stand unmoved while others crumble under their own emotional weight. Imagine a warrior on a battlefield, surrounded by foes swinging wildly, their rage blinding them to their own missteps. Now picture that warrior, lowering his sword, stepping back, letting the chaos consume itself. What kind of strength does that take? Nietzsche's Übermensch, his vision of the superior individual, doesn't waste breath on petty squabbles or ego-driven shouting matches. This figure chooses silence, not out of weakness, but as a calculated move, a way to shift the entire game in their favor. History echoes this wisdom. Socrates didn't yell to prove his point. He asked questions that unraveled his opponent's certainty. His silence between inquiries was a mirror, forcing others to confront their own flaws without him ever raising his voice. Steve Jobs didn't win every argument at Apple by outshouting his team. He let them wrestle with their doubts until his vision became theirs. His power wasn't in endless debate, it was in knowing when to pause, when to let the idea speak for itself. Then there's Miyamoto Musashi, the samurai who turned tardiness into triumph. Arriving late to a duel and watching his enraged opponent unravel. His silence wasn't passive. It was a blade sharper than steel, cutting through the enemy's composure before the fight even began. What ties these figures together isn't their words, it's their restraint, their refusal to be puppets of emotion. They understood that power isn't about filling the air with noise. It's about controlling what happens in the spaces between. Next time you're on the verge of an argument, feel that familiar heat rising in your chest. Stop and ask yourself, who's really in control here? The one yelling to be heard, or the one who can walk away without a word? Psychology backs this up. Our brains are wired to cling to biases, to double down when challenged, to see disagreement as a personal attack. Arguments aren't about truth. They're about identity. And the more we fight, the more we reveal our fragile need for validation. Nietzsche saw this trap and urged us to rise above it. To wield silence like a sculptor chisels stone, deliberate, precise, transformative. The Übermensch doesn't react to every jab. They observe, they wait, they act only when the moment demands it. Consider this. Every word you speak is a piece of your power handed to the world. Why give it away so cheaply? In a culture obsessed with noise, where everyone screams to be noticed, the one who masters silence becomes untouchable. But silence isn't the whole story. Nietzsche didn't preach retreat. He embraced conflict as a forge for growth. The trick is knowing when to engage, when the struggle sharpens your mind instead of dulling your spirit. Galileo didn't stay quiet. He challenged the heavens and paid the price. Yet his ideas outlasted the chains that bound him. His power came from picking a fight worth having, one that reshaped reality itself. Socrates faced death for his questions, but those questions still echo, proving that conflict, wielded with purpose, can carve truth from chaos. Nietzsche himself provoked the world with his writings, daring us to rethink everything we hold dear. The difference lies in intent. Arguing to prove you're right is a hollow game. Arguing to shape what's possible is a creator's art. The Übermensch doesn't bicker over crumbs. They fight for mountains, and only when the stakes matter. So, when should you speak? When your words can cut through noise to reveal something raw, something real. Otherwise, let the silence do the heavy lifting. Modern life drowns us in arguments, social media, politics, endless debates that go nowhere. Yet Nietzsche's insight feels more urgent than ever. The one who controls their reaction controls the room. Imagine you're given a limit 10 words to use in a day, each one a precious spark. Would you waste them on someone who won't listen, or save them for a moment that shifts the tide? This isn't about avoiding life's battles. It's about choosing them wisely, about refusing to let others dictate your energy. Power isn't in the loudest voice, it's in the mind that decides when that voice matters. Picture yourself again, back in that storm of words. The air thick with tension. Now step back, breathe, watch it unfold. What if the greatest strength isn't in winning the fight, but in knowing you don't need to? We chase power in all the wrong places. Approval, victory. The last word, but Nietzsche saw it hiding in the quiet, in the pause before the storm breaks. So, here's the question that lingers. When the next argument calls your name, will you answer with noise or with the silence that reshapes everything?